much like 7, the vitalize. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the call. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the call. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Inner Circle podcast, where we amplify, empower, and elevate voices that matter. Tonight, we are diving into one of the most closely watched races in Minnesota. The tragic loss of Speaker Melissa Hortman has left an important seat open in District 34. And joining us is Christian Eriksen, a candidate with a bold vision for the future. Let's get right into it. I'm your host, Abe Kamara, here with you for 4 nights a week, and tonight it's a very interesting topic, passing the torch. What's next for District 34B? As I said, Christian Eriksen is here with us. He's running for this open seat. Before we get into things, there's an Inner Circle podcast, a growing platform. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitter. We are all over. So please join this movement. And also, if you have any question for Eric tonight, you can put it in the chat, or you can call our number 817-600-1525. Eric, welcome to the show. Christian, welcome to the show. Sorry, Christian, welcome to the show.
Everybody does that.
Yeah. Can you tell us, a little bit about yourself, just a brief background about yourself, and then we'll get into some interesting stuff about you and the district and your motivation for running for this seat.
Sure. I grew up in Brooklyn Park. My parents still live in the house where I grew up. My dad is an immigrant from Norway, and my mom grew up in Brooklyn Center. So my mom's side of the family goes back another 2 generations in the area. My dad was a new American, just like many of the listeners here.
Okay.
But I mean, it was certainly during a different time and a different story.
Yeah.
Every immigrant community has their own unique story. So I went to Robertsville Cooper High School for high school. Yeah. Went to the University of Minnesota, and then got my first professional job in Chicago. So I did spend some years in Chicago.
Okay.
My first children were born in Chicago. Came back to Brooklyn Park, and now I live here with my wife and our blended family, 6 children.
Okay.
Age 6 to 19. So it's a very busy house.
Okay.
And I currently serve on the city council in Brooklyn Park.
Okay. How will you describe District 34B for folks who are not familiar with the district? Is it just Brooklyn Park, or how will you describe the district?
So House District 34B includes kind of the northeastern half of Brooklyn Park, and then 1 precinct in Champlin and 2 precincts in Coon Rapids.
Okay. Okay.
So it spans 2 counties and 3 cities.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. What's the other county? Is it? I mean, two county. What's the other county?
County.
Anoka County. Okay.
So
Okay.
Coon Rapids is in Anoka County.
Okay. Well, this city you're running for District 34B obviously became open because of the loss of, Speaker Melissa Hortman, Speaker Emeritus. It was a shock to the entire state. Obviously, I know it was a shock to, Broken Park, where she lived. How has her legacy shaped your vision for this race?
Yeah. So I was thinking back to the first time that Melissa Hortman came on my radar.
Okay.
It was during a debate on the House floor,
Mm-hmm.
and there were folks speaking, including some representatives who were from communities of color.
Yeah.
And Melissa Hortman called out some white legislators who were hiding in the retiring room,
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to the speakers on the floor, and she called them out for it, for
Okay.
being rude, for being disrespectful, and for being exclusionary by their behavior.
Okay.
And she took a lot of heat for that. And she was asked to apologize, and she really doubled down, and she said, "No, I'm not apologizing for that. They should apologize."
Yeah.
And it was I think it kind of shaped the rest of her legacy. Like, she became very much respected as kind of I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but
Yeah.
tenacious.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely remember that about her. And then I was down at the Capitol when I filed for the race, and we stopped at the Capitol building and saw the memorial that's there.
Yeah.
And just kind of the breadth of communities that left mementos there, from the labor movement and immigrant communities and
Yeah.
LGBTQ community and educators and healthcare workers, and just so many people felt that she was a special person whose leadership helped them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking for going forward.
Okay.
So,
Obviously, that's a big shoe to fill, right? How we, how do you plan to, how do you plan to do things, once, if you are fortunate to get elected to this position or to this seat, what do you, are you, is your plan is to further her legacy, or what do you plan to do differently for the district?
sure. So, Melissa was obviously the Speaker of the House.
Mm-hmm.
She spent a long time in the House,
Mm-hmm.
learning, watching, growing, and eventually became the Speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and was one of the key leaders for all of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So those are shoes that aren't easy to fill,
Sure.
and those are shoes that no one is going to fill in their first term.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a sense in which we can continue her legacy of engaging young people. I've heard
Okay.
different stories about her engaging young people in the system.
Okay.
Her legacy of fighting vigorously for things she cared about.
Yeah.
Her legacy of not just focusing on one or two issues, but paying
Sure.
attention to a broad array of people's concerns,
Okay.
and carrying all of those. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that are facing us now that are
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
When you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C.,
Sure.
and things that the federal government wants to do or
Mhm.
not, that creates a whole new set of challenges
Mm-hmm.
for Minnesota's leadership.
Okay.
And it'll take a lot of effort to push back against that and protect Minnesotans from some of those things.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, most definitely. What does it mean to you, the personal, right, to step into this race at a critical, an emotional time for the district, right? I mean, for the state and for the district. What does it mean to you personally, right, to step into the race at such a time. Do you think this is the right time for you?
Uh, yeah, I think it is the right time for me.
Okay.
Initially, I mean, in the first couple weeks after it happened, this wasn't really on my radar to do
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't I wasn't thinking about entering the race. But then I started hearing the names of people being tossed around who were thinking about entering the race, and it's an interesting choice. Or just and then Representative Hilsley reached out to me, and we've gotten to be good friends as she's campaigned and
Okay.
our families have spent time together. And she sort of planted the bug in my ear. You should
Okay.
do this. You should do this. And I mean, on one hand, there's a sense of nervousness.
Yeah.
It is big shoes to fill, and it is a
Yeah.
big thing. And um,
Okay.
but I feel like being on city council has prepared me.
Okay.
I've learned a lot about how the state interplays with municipal governments, and um, I've definitely seen behind the scenes a lot of needs Brooklyn Park has that are unaddressed. So
Okay. Okay. How
I'm
long
very
have you been? How long have you been part of Broken Park City Council?
uh, this is midway through my third year.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. Okay. I mean, in a time of leadership, right? When in a time like this, when leadership is needed more than ever, how do you plan to bring healing and direction to a grieving yet resilient community? Right, that's a very diverse community. It's very resilient. How do you plan to bring, healing and a sense of direction to that community, the District 34B?
um, I think I think even before this happened, the
Mm-hmm.
assassination of Speaker Hortman,
Mm-hmm.
I think this community was already on edge.
Okay.
People were worried about their neighbors who are immigrants being carried away.
Okay.
People were worried about their um, gay neighbors being discriminated against at school.
Mm-hmm.
People were worried about um, are they going to have health insurance when they need it?
Yeah.
So just so many of the changes were already had this community on edge, and this just was a new layer of kind of fear when somebody who kind of came out of nowhere with so much hate in them
Yeah.
and attacked people who, I mean, yeah, Melissa and John Hoffman, they were both leaders. They were people in the community who had power and influence, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were also people's neighbors.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they walked around their neighborhoods and their kids went to school, and they're not just public figures, they're also private people, and someone really violated that in our community.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be a long time for people to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a long time of us talking about how did we miss this
Mm-hmm.
and what could we have done differently. So there'll be a long period of learning.
Yeah.
But I think another thing we've seen is neighbors have supported each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were at any of the memorial, the one at Champlain Park High School or the one at the golf course. There were neighbors just coming together and
Okay.
being together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of how we move forward and heal, is just encouraging each other to be together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Melissa Hortman touched a lot of life here at Eden Cycle Podcast. We did do a special tribute, for her, a whole segment, just paying our respect, honoring her legacy. A lot of the things she did for the immigrant communities. Obviously, I know it's like, a speaker, even as a representative, right? She represented a district, as I said, that's very diverse. A lot of immigrants and things like that. So I know it's been a tough time for the state, but In regards to that, though, right? It's like, moving on from there, right? What are some of the core values guiding your campaign, and how do they translate into concrete policy?
Sure. So, I mean, there's some very basic things, like very basic human rights are under threat.
Yeah.
And so that would definitely guide my policy. Like, we can't, some of the protections that Melissa and others earned for us, we can't pull back from those.
Okay.
We're going to have to defend those things. But also, I think there's new things we can do. Um, so as I mentioned, my dad was an immigrant. They came here. His dad never finished high school.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked hard and were able to support a family that way. But then he died when my dad was just 19 and left them sort of, in poverty for a while.
Yeah.
But there was a strong community then of Norwegian and Swedish immigrants who
Mm-hmm.
kind of picked up my dad and carried him along. And that happens today too. Immigrant communities carry each other along.
Yeah.
And so how do we support programs that encourage and enable that? I think things like the Small Business Center. How do we create spaces for communities to support each other as they grow and integrate into American life, and as they navigate their children being children of two cultures, and
Mm-hmm.
so things like the Small Business Center or school programs that
Yeah.
encourage children to both learn about their new home, but to stay
Mhm.
connected to their to the homeland.
Yeah.
Right? So I think creating opportunities for that kind of support and encouragement,
Mm-hmm.
but also those who've been here longer can definitely play a role in encouraging the newcomer.
Okay.
And I think people who've been here longer and had access longer can be mentors and encouragers of people who are new to our community.
Okay.
So in terms of Melissa's past support for the immigrant community, I think we can continue to build on that. We can continue to grow in that alongside each other.
Okay.
And that can be as simple as, neighbors encouraging each other's kids to
Yeah.
succeed,
Mm-hmm.
and introducing each other to new things, and
Okay.
all the way to more formal things like investing in business centers and job training. And
Sure.
I've been talking so long now I forgot the original question, but
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Folks, tonight we are talking to Christian Eriksen. He's a candidate for District 34B, a seat that was open because of the tragic assassination of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman. So tonight we are discussing passing the touch. What's next for District 34B, and we have Christian Eriksen here with us. He's a candidate for that district. How will you describe your relationship with the immigrant community in that district? Right? As I said, District 34B is very diverse. How will you describe your personal relationship as a city council member in Broken Park and a resident of the district? How will you describe your relationship with the immigrant community?
sure. I've gotten to spend a lot of time just meeting people, whether it's casually in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like my neighbors are from all over the world.
Okay.
So spending time in the simple activities of life.
Mhm.
Growing up, my neighbors, my first non-white neighbors were from Nigeria,
Okay.
and we got to be close with them, and they invited us to their home, and I think it was their child's baptism party.
Okay. Okay.
And just including each other in those things is probably the best way to get to know my immigrant neighbors is the willingness to engage when invited. So that's a big part of it. And then I think learning who the leaders are and trying to be intentional about meeting them. I think leaders in a community have a unique finger on the pulse of what's happening.
Yeah.
So if there's questions about the African diaspora, I will reach out to Hulda or Hassan and Mohammed and people like that, and like, this is what I've heard, this is what I'm wondering.
Okay.
Am I close? Right? Am I getting the point? So just knowing the communities that are present in Brooklyn Park, just knowing who are the trusted voices to ask for guidance and input. And so both of those things, the simple everyday, but then knowing who. I had a friend who called them cultural navigators.
Okay.
The people who translate the needs of their community.
Okay. The other thing, obviously there's a lot of need in Brooklyn Park. I said, the very district, a lot of need. Right now we live in an environment of high cost, high inflation, issue of jobs and things like that. The housing is a huge situation in Brooklyn Park, or I mean in the district. How are you planning to address those things?
That is something we have really struggled with as a city council. I mean, there's been 2 years in a row now where property taxes for the city portion have gone up 10%, because what the city has to pay for things like insurance and materials has gone up the same way it's gone up in your household. And so to keep the same level of government service, we've had to raise taxes on people who are already paying more for their own things. And then people are. I was talking to a friend the other day who it's a couple, and the two of them both work, and almost half of one of their paychecks goes just to pay for daycare.
Yeah.
And so as a state, we really need to invest in things that help families succeed and build wealth, and that's especially hard now as we're seeing the federal government is pulling back on things they used to support. So not only did Minnesota or Brooklyn Park have needs to start with, we're going to be feeling even more needs now. And then the cost of things that we import is going to go up because of tariff policy. And so it's really important not just that the Democrats hold this seat, but that Democrats build on their control of both Minnesota and regain control of the federal legislature, because enormous tax cuts for wealthy people aren't going to help us pay for the things we need. And so we've reached a point where we need to decide as a society, are we just going to let people get lost as costs get higher, as homes get more expensive, as daycare eats up half of your paycheck?
Sure.
Or are we going to try to raise the revenue to benefit everybody? So things like incentive for developers to build affordable housing. Incentives for employers to engage in mentorship and skills training for people who live in their community. Which cities like Brooklyn Park are trying to do some of that through programs like Brooklink, where
Okay.
Kids who go to high school in Brooklyn Park can sign up for internships and job skills training, and
Okay.
we partner with companies to invest in that. And
Okay.
so there's two parts of this. One is supporting people in their basic needs now,
Mm-hmm.
but also creating growth
Yeah.
so that people aren't as economically stressed.
Sure.
So that there's meaningful jobs with meaningful wages support their um, that support their success.
Okay.
And so things like the uh, biotech innovation district that our legislators earned for Brooklyn Park. Um, so hopefully in the next couple of years, new employers coming online in Brooklyn Park that pay high wages,
Mm.
and so people can afford housing and can afford um, the things their families need. So it's both of those approaches.
Yeah.
So how
Okay.
does the state help meet basic needs, and how do we build wealth so that people are able to meet their own basic needs?
Okay. How is your campaign reaching out to the immigrant community, to people of color, especially like in these type of elections? It's like, it's an off year election. A lot of immigrants don't participate when it comes to politics. We have talked about it a lot on this platform. How are you reaching out to make sure folks participate in this process, right? To make sure their voice is heard? How's your campaign? How's your campaign? How will you describe your campaign outreach to the various communities?
Sure. Uh, so this campaign has a very short time window.
Exactly.
They just announced the election 12 days ago,
Okay.
and the election's only 18 days away, so it's a very compressed time frame. So um, basically, we're going to be out just talking to people on the street, walking the
Mhm.
neighborhoods,
Mhm.
meeting people who are out doing their thing, um, and then welcoming opportunities to. I was invited to a gathering of Vietnamese elders on Sunday,
Okay.
and so I went out to meet them and appreciated their welcoming me to their event. Um, and I have some colleagues and friends who are working on putting together similar things for in other communities, um, and also we will be putting out. I don't know if you remember in Hulda's campaign, she put out some graphics that tried to explain very simple, like these are the different levels of government and they do these things,
Mhm.
just so people could understand and learn more about what are we doing, what are we voting for.
Okay.
So
Okay. That's interesting. Well, folks, tonight we are talking to Christian Eriksen. He's running for the Open Seat District 34B, and you can participate by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 817-600-1526. Um, the thing about it though, right? There's a huge I keep coming to this diversity thing because it's an immigrant platform, but it's a huge program activities going on in Broken Park, Broken Center this weekend, especially Broken Park. It's Liberia Independence Week. Saturday is Liberia Independence, July 26th is Liberia turns 178. Are you planning to attend any of those events? You have plans to engage the community, to engage folks where they are? 'Cause a lot of Liberian immigrants live in Broken Park. I know you're on the city council. You're probably aware, but
mhm.
we have been joking that Broken Park should be called Little Liberia, right? Because it's like when you travel and talk about you're from Minnesota, so Liberia, and the first place they ask you, "Oh, are you from Broken? Do you live in Broken Park?" So it's like they associate you with Broken Park. Whenever you travel as a Liberian, Broken Park. So, are you planning to attend any of the festivities this weekend?
I'm definitely planning to be out at the parade.
Mm,
I think I think parades are a really interesting way to learn about a community,
yeah.
what they value, how they want to present themselves to the
Mm-hmm.
community. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a great way to learn and be with people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's definitely other events like that Ebo Fest, and
Hmm.
um, so yeah, I'm definitely planning to be at a few of those events this weekend, and I definitely love the way that the Liberian community, especially, but others, celebrate their origins in that way.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There. I mean, definitely. What are some of your top like three legislative priorities when if it happens to win the seat? What would be some of your top three?
Top three. Um, I definitely want to push for some kind of healthcare for all program in Minnesota.
Okay.
Whether it's expanding Minnesota Care so that members of the public can buy in,
Hmm.
or, and this is a big reach because it's a divided House and Senate right now, but
Yeah.
a single payer model. Um, so that for sure, because a guarantee of healthcare frees up people for all sorts of things. You know, a lot of my cousins in Norway are entrepreneurs, started businesses of their own,
Hmm.
and they have single payer healthcare. And if you ask them, how are they able to do this? Like, isn't it risky? Well, there's no risk. You know, it's
Hmm.
there. It really frees people up to uh, be creative, entrepreneurially, and thrive if they don't have to worry about very basic things like healthcare.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one. Um, Another is, and this one is really complicated, but it's really important. So I'm going to try to spend a minute explaining it. There's a program called Local Government Aid.
Okay.
This is a program that Minnesota uses to distribute funds to cities
Okay.
to help them meet basic infrastructure needs.
Okay.
The formula was created in the 70s
Mm.
and hasn't been changed since.
Okay.
So, a big part of the formula is the age of housing. Um, and so you end up with big disparities in who gets money and who doesn't. So, Brooklyn Park and Duluth are the same size.
Mm.
Brooklyn Park gets $900,000 in local government aid. The year before, we got zero.
Okay.
Duluth gets $39 million this year.
$39 million.
Ah,
Wow.
um, Mankato is about the same size as Coon Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
Coon Rapids will get $700,000 this year. Mankato will get almost 13 million because it hasn't been updated in forever. And so it doesn't take into account things that are important in first and second ranked suburbs like Brooklyn Park and Coon Rapids. Things like the presence of affordable housing
Mm-hmm.
or the presence of group homes or the
Yeah.
presence of, um, I mean, children whose first language is other than English or
Yeah.
like other indicators of
Yeah.
communities that need
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure. And then, so Duluth gets $39 million to spend on their infrastructure. So just imagine how much money that frees up for them to spend on other things.
Yes. Yeah.
So that needs to be rewritten. And I know that's complicated and boring, but
No,
the
no, no.
reality
Before you,
is that
before you go to your tech point, right, that's very interesting, right? If Broken Bar is only getting like, I would say peanuts, right, compared to Duluth, right, which is, as you said, the same size. Broken Park and even Coon Rapids, these are diverse communities, right? These are immigrant, these are cities with vibrant immigrant communities. But
Mhm,
I mean, there's a huge lack of infrastructure, right? There are a lot of infrastructure challenges.
mhm,
I mean, it's like, isn't these are the things that are causing the disparity, right? It's like, I mean, communities with huge immigrant population, they are not getting the infrastructure that is really needed for their communities.
mhm. So yeah, rewriting that formula to bring it into the 2025.
Yeah,
Minnesota's in a very different place than it was in the mid 70s,
exactly.
and so I mean, there were no immigrants in my elementary school class, none.
Yeah.
And now my kids, half of their classmates are from someplace else in the world.
Okay.
And so things are very different now, and these formulas that dictate resources need to reflect that.
Isn't like some of the reason, right? So I'll still let you get to your third point, but I just want to stress this a little bit, right? It's like our community, especially our immigrant community, will complain a lot about resources. Resources are not coming to us. Some people don't even know how local government, like they just let like the state legislature operate, right? They don't know how like resources get back to the community. What will you say to to the immigrant community tonight? That live in District 34B. What are some of the resources they can expect from the state, and how do the resources get trickle back to them?
Sure. I mean, so we do get a number of resources that we use.
Mm,
We have grants from the Minnesota Department of Economic Development that support Brooklink and the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth,
okay.
that provide youth programming and job training, um, and many people do get their health care through state programs like Minnesota Care.
Okay.
And our schools get money from the state for things like special education.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely our communities are getting state resources, but are we getting them equitably? Is
Yes, I get that. Yeah, I get that's the point I'm trying to drive at. Yeah.
so. So there's things that, I mean, if you look at the list of things that Brooklyn Park needs,
Yeah.
our fire stations need to be replaced.
Mm,
Our water plant may need to be upgraded because of chemicals in the groundwater.
okay.
Uh, so there's these expensive things that are facing our city,
Mm-hmm.
and if we're not able to secure resources from the state or federal government, those things are going to have to be paid by the taxpayers right here through
Okay.
our property taxes.
Mhm.
And so any resources we can gather from other sources benefit us directly. So,
Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing passing the touch, and we are talking to Christian Eriksen. He's running for the Open Seat District 34B. You can put a comment in the chat, or you can call our number 817-600-1525. Um, when it comes to uh, this election, right? Like after the campaigns, I know, like first of all, is this an open election? Can you kind of educate our audience, like when is the election? How do folks need to register to vote? As I said, right, when it comes to elections and politics, a lot of our folks, sometimes the participation is not there. So just a little education, right? When is the election? How do folks vote on the day of the election, and how long is the campaign season?
sure. So this is a special election.
Okay.
So that means that this election wasn't scheduled in advance.
Okay.
It's happening because Melissa was murdered, right?
Yeah.
And so basically this election it's happening very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of time for candidates to campaign, to get out and meet people the way we normally would.
Okay.
In a normal year, people would be out for 6 months meeting people and getting to know people and
Mm-hmm.
attending events. In this case, we have a month. So the you can stop me if I'm getting too basic here, but
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so basically, in Minnesota, um, campaigns or elections sort of happen in 3 stages.
Mm-hmm.
The parties, the DFL and
Yeah.
the Republicans, can endorse candidates
Okay.
themselves.
Yeah.
And then there will be a primary election
Okay.
where voters can go and choose who will represent their party.
Okay.
So you show up at the polling place and say, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and you get the ballot for that party,
Mm-hmm.
and you mark the person that you want. So show up and say, I'm a Democrat, and they give you the ballot, and you say, this is the person that I want to be the Democrat. And so that election is happening on August 12th.
Okay.
And so then at that point, we'll have one Republican and one Democrat
Okay.
on the ballot. And then there will be a general special election that will happen on September 16th, where voters get to go choose between the two.
Okay. So just to clarify before you go further, the primary election for the two parties is August 12th.
Correct.
Now, is it an open primary?
And you don't have to register for a party.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the point I was getting at. Is it an open
Yeah.
primary?
So you
Okay,
just show up and say which ballot you want
okay, okay. On August 12th.
on August 12th.
Okay,
Um, if people need information about how to vote or how to register to vote,
sure, sure.
one easy way to do that is just Google Brooklyn Park elections,
Okay. We share that information for sure, yeah. Okay,
and our city clerk has put together a very useful collection of all the information that you need to know about the special election.
okay,
When it's happening, how to register, where
okay.
you go to vote,
Mm-hmm.
is all pretty easy to access in that spot. So yeah, just Google Brooklyn Park elections,
Okay,
and everything you need to know is right there.
okay. I know you have mentioned DFL a couple of times, so I assume you are running as a DFL, right?
Correct.
Okay, and are there other candidates running in a DFL primary for I mean like that's going to be held on August 12th?
Correct. There's three of us.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if you'll have the two of them on your show. I hope you do. It's an important part of our democracy is making sure
Exactly. No, yeah, definitely, yeah,
everyone
definitely.
gets to know everyone.
Yeah.
Um, the three of us were just on Monday night at the DFL convention.
Okay. That took place in Minneapolis, right?
No, SD34 had its own.
Oh, okay, okay. That's a different one. Okay.
Yep, every party unit has its own convention.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So there were three of us, myself, XP Lee, and Eriksen Say.
Okay.
XP did win the endorsement, but all three of us are continuing to the primary.
Okay.
So when you go to the polling place on August 12th, you'll see three names, and you can choose any one of the three. Hopefully, it'll be me.
So yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, even though right, the major party, I mean, in this case, the DFL have endorsed a candidate, you guys are still going to the primary, and as I said, it's an open primary that's going to be on August 12th.
Correct.
Anyone who comes on top, obviously get the DFL. I mean, get to represent the DFL party, right? Is that it? Is that how it works?
So you register as a candidate,
Mm-hmm.
and you pick Republican, Democrat, or
Mm-hmm.
some other party.
Yeah.
But all three of the people who registered as Democrats get to go to the ballot on August 12th.
Okay.
And then on August 12th, only one of us will be left.
Okay. Got it.
So the voters choose which of the three of us on August 12th.
Okay.
There's only one Republican, so there's no primary for them.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Okay. Well, what distinguishes them from your DFL counterparts? What distinguishes your campaign, your vision for District 34B from the other two candidates?
Sure. I think that my service on the city council
Okay.
gives me a unique window into the needs of this community.
Okay.
Um, I'm sort of seeing up to the minute what the needs of Brooklyn Park are as a
Mhm.
city,
Mm-hmm.
and people come to council meetings and tell us what their needs are. People email us and tell us what their needs are. People share things that we might agree with or share things we might disagree with, but
Mm-hmm.
we get to see what people are thinking in real time that way as
Mhm.
city officials. But we also get to know people in the community in kind of a unique way. So I think that's one thing that sets me apart is that I'm a sitting council member and so
Okay.
I'm very familiar with what's happening. I think um, so. I've lived here all my life. I grew up here.
Okay.
The people who the adults who were in my life as a kid are still in my parents' neighborhood,
Okay.
and so the folks that have been here for 50, 60 years, I know how they think and some of what their needs are,
Mm-hmm.
some of what their concerns are.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been fortunate to meet other communities along the way, having neighbors from all over the world, having people who've moved here from other states, other countries, and some of the needs and concerns are very different. Uh, some of the needs and concerns are very similar.
Yeah.
Um, I know some older folks who've lived in Brooklyn Park for a long time feel uncertain about what to do when their African neighbors are having a big party.
Okay.
I mean, people celebrate very differently, and
Yeah.
people feel uncertain. And we'll get emails like, so and so was having a really loud party, and like, well, we live in a society, people get to celebrate their things,
Mm-hmm.
and just because you celebrate it differently doesn't make this new thing better or worse. It's just
Yeah.
it is. And but then also there's things that are very similar, like
Okay.
elderly Liberian people and elderly white people and elderly Hmong people might be living on limited incomes,
Mm-hmm.
be housing insecure, and be so kind of helping people to see those both the differences and in some ways what's good for one part of the community also benefits other parts of the community.
Okay. I know when it comes to politics, right, endorsement are very important. Have you gotten any major endorsement since you launched your campaign? And will you care to share who are those that are endorse you in this, for this seat? Are they like at the state level? Are those folks, I mean, that live in the district, are living in the northern suburbs?
Sure. So there's uh so Hulda Hildsley has endorsed me,
Okay, that's
and
good. Okay.
I think she maybe helped put me in touch with you early on.
Okay.
And Hulda's been a great cheerleader and supporter of rounding up
Yeah.
support. Several of my council colleagues, current and former,
Okay.
have endorsed me.
Okay.
And then just today, I've gotten invitations from 10 different organizations
Okay.
asking me to fill out questionnaires for endorsement. So those range from labor unions to Outfront Minnesota, which is a gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual advocacy group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the, Support the Boundary Waters, which is kind of an environmental group.
Yeah.
Um, so again, because it's such a short time, all of
Yeah.
this is happening very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm sure all three of us, are frantically filling out these endorsement things that are sent to us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Huda is great. She's a strong. During her campaign, we did interview her, and she's been a partner of ours since she got elected. I think she's very passionate about the community, about her district, and about Broken Park, things like that. So I think that's a good endorsement of I think that's a huge boost to your campaign. So obviously, we'll see what the other candidates have. But you know, how do you plan to stay connected, right, to like the everyday residents once the campaign season is over and you get elected, let's assume you get elected to this position, how do you plan to stay connected to the everyday residents of District 34B?
Sure. So there's, on one hand, living in the metro area, we have the benefit of we go to St. Paul for the session,
Yeah.
but I still come home to Brooklyn Park every night.
Okay.
So I'm still very much in the community.
Okay.
My kids' friends are coming over. I'm seeing my neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
going to local restaurants and events where I will see and meet people who will share their concerns. But then there's also ways to be very intentional. I know next week the Senate District 38 folks, Susan Pa, Samantha Vang, and Hulda Hiltsley, are having a town hall.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you're listening right now and you live in the 38 side of Brooklyn Park, please go.
Yeah.
And share your thoughts and concerns with those three folks who are currently serving our community. But definitely plan to do similar events so that community members can come and meet and greet and gather.
Mm-hmm.
We just did one last night with the city council members from the East District. And so folks who live in the community can come and engage us in that setting. So I think basically creating different ways to engage residents, whether it's informally at the local restaurant or more formally by having an event.
Okay. What is your message to folks who feel disconnected from the political process? Or we live in an environment right now that's so toxic, it's just a back and forth. I mean, we have said as a platform that amplify, empower, and elevate immigrant voices, we feel there's a negative, negative energy right now towards immigrants in this country. Some feel, folks are feeling apprehensive about things, about politics and everything. What is the message to those folks who feel disconnected from from politics, who feels like, today politics does not represent them, politicians do not represent them? What's the message to those folks?
My message to those folks would be that sitting out only encourages the people who are feeding that fear.
Okay.
If you are, I don't remember exactly the quote, but if you're, it's escaping me now.
That's fine. That's fine.
Basically, if you're not participating, then then politics is just happening to you.
Okay.
And people will go to St. Paul, people will go to Washington, D.C., people will go to City Hall, and they'll make decisions that impact your life every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they will do that whether you participate in the process or not.
Okay.
So you should participate in the process because your daily lives are impacted. And there's great organizations that help people connect, like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
If you're not sure how to get involved, ask a trusted leader in your community. There's organizations like Librarians in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely know how to get you connected and engaged in civic life.
Okay.
The leaders at Acer, the leaders at your local house of worship,
Mm-hmm.
they will help you find the ways to get engaged and help you understand the process
Mm-hmm.
and kind of help you find your place in the process. So
Yeah.
I definitely encourage you to get engaged, and if you're not sure how, ask those trusted voices in your community.
I mean, what do you think? Obviously, there's a seat, that's I got open because of the, senseless assassination of Melissa Hortman. Why do you think politics have gotten so toxic? And what even like, in an environment like this that maybe politics has become so violent? What motivated you to run for this seat, right? Because you have a family, as you say, you have a family of six or something. What motivates you to run for this seat, right? When there's so much like hostility towards politicians these days, right? It's like there seems as maybe enemy or something. If you're not for me, you're against me. That kind of energy, right? What motivates you to run for this seat?
Boy, there's so many things. So my grandparents, my dad's parents in Norway, they fought against the Nazi occupiers during World War II.
Okay.
And and my dad was born in a Red Cross field hospital.
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the Nazi occupation of Norway. And now my dad is 80 years old, and he's alive to see people carrying neighbors away.
Mm.
He's alive to see legislation that makes people frightened. Even could their citizenship be revoked? Could they lose what they've come here to build?
Mm-hmm.
And that's only 80 years, and my dad's still alive to see the threat come around again.
Mm-hmm.
And so in some ways, I think it honors the people who fought for these things before us to not give in to that fear.
Okay.
I was at the League of Minnesota Cities annual conference a couple weeks ago. It's a gathering of elected officials from cities all around Minnesota.
Okay.
And people were definitely talking about it. Am I safe? Is my family safe? Because politics is become very heated.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's a very real question. As to your earlier question, why is it that way? I think part of it is that we've stopped. Well, part of it some time ago we stopped listening to each other.
Okay.
And I think part of that was because the language started getting extreme and scary.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, those neighbors across the street, they're from this group or that group, and they're dirty, or they don't belong here, or whatever." People say terrible, hurtful things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to hear anything they have to say after that. It's
yeah.
But also they live here too. They're our neighbors, and so in some ways we have to listen to each other, even if we can't tolerate the beliefs. We have to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people have lost their willingness to even try to understand, because it's so unfathomable the things that they're hearing.
Okay.
And so basically something I try to do is take the values that I hold and try to translate them into. If you go to small town Minnesota where 80% of the voters voted for Donald Trump, or you go into North Minneapolis where 80% of the voters voted for Kamala Harris,
Mm-hmm.
Politically they're very different, but the geography looks similar.
Yeah.
I mean, Main Street doesn't have stores that are open. Jobs have left. So the needs are the same, but what people are choosing is the means to resolve it are totally different. And I mean, I think part of the job in the case of the DFL is we have to communicate how we are going to fix that in a way that's compelling.
Okay. Many immigrants are small business owners, caregivers, frontline workers. How will your leadership, elevate their voices and support their contributions to District 34B?
I think I touched on it a little bit ago, that I believe that strong communities lift each other up.
Mm-hmm.
And communities that are based around a shared immigrant background have a unique gift of doing that for each other, because of the shared cultural understandings, because of the shared history. And so strengthening those communities and providing resources for them to build each other up is important. But then maintaining a list of trusted advisors from those communities who you can check in with at a moment's notice. Like, hey, this bill is being discussed in this committee today, and I'm on that committee, and I just want to know how do you think this bill impacts Liberian immigrants or Kenyan immigrants or Hmong immigrants or veterans or whatever the group is? Like, does this bill impact you in ways that I can't see?
Mhm.
And so being intentional about getting feedback from the community you're serving.
Okay. Some immigrant youth struggle to see themselves represented in politics. What would your message be to a Liberian kid, Liberian youth watching, or Hmong or Kenyan youth watching us tonight, Kenyan immigrant youth watching us tonight? What would your message be to them? That they too can, be in a position you are in, that they seat, they too can one day run for district 34B or 38, whatever district, that they can see themselves in politics. What would your message be to those youth?
Sure. I mean, I guess one way is to look around them. I mean, they have role models like Hulda Hildsley, who's a
Yeah.
Kenyan woman who came here as a new American and is now serving in the state house. Winfred Russell is a Liberian immigrant who served in city council.
Mhm.
One of the other candidates in this race is a Liberian immigrant who was born in Liberia and grew up in Minnesota. And so there's people from all backgrounds that are being brave and stepping forward to serve their communities.
Mhm.
So there's definitely opportunities for mentorship and role modeling and introducing kids to the process. Like,
Mhm.
something that I think would be immensely fun about being in the house would be having groups of kids from Brooklyn Park come and being able to show them around the Capitol and introduce them to the people who work there to make their lives better every day. I think that's a really fun opportunity that will be there.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. What do you think is the biggest misconception, right, folks have about you or your campaign?
The biggest misconception.
Or is it all great? Is it all great campaign? People, folks, they say, hey, Christian Eriksen is a great. He's been on the city council for 3 years. Almost 3 years. He's great. He's relatable. First of all, maybe let me spice you a little bit, right? It's like, have you, as I said, right? Your community, District 34, especially Brooklyn Park, it's a huge Liberian community. Have you tried Liberian food before? Have you tried any Liberian dish? Have you?
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
Okay, which one? Which one? Do
No,
you
I
remember?
Yeah, I remember the first. Okay, so this is kind of a funny story. The first Liberian I ever met
Yeah.
was Marie Hayes.
Okay.
Do you know Marie?
Yep.
And so I was working for the Lutheran Church offices in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and I stopped at Luther Seminary for an event where she worked, and I met Marie. And it's so funny to me that any Liberian that I meet, if they ask where I work, I'll say Luther Seminary. And they'll say, what? And then I'll say Marie Hayes. And I'll go, oh yeah. And she's one of the absolute forebearers of Liberians in Minnesota, I think. Like, she must have been one of the first, right?
Yeah.
And but I was so yeah, Marie was the first Liberian I ever met, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least Liberian Minnesotan. I'd met other Liberians from
Sure,
Liberia,
Yeah.
but my ex-wife, when we were still together, she worked with a Liberian woman, and they invited us over to their home for dinner on a Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a little bit scared of green vegetables.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of green vegetables, generally speaking.
Okay.
And she brought out a big pot of greens that were cooked with turkey and seasonings,
Mhm.
and like, oh boy, green vegetables. But you want to be a good guest, and so you're going
Yeah.
to eat what's served to you, right?
Yeah.
They were so amazing. The flavor and the texture was perfect, and I was like, oh, this I can do this. And I don't even remember your misconceptions. You were going to ask
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
misconceptions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a misconception. I think that if people look at me and say, there's this white guy who's lived in Brooklyn Park all his life, and he's running against a Hmong person who was born in a refugee camp, and he's running against a Liberian guy who immigrated when he was young, and I don't think that's a misconception. I think that's a fair question.
Mhm.
Can this guy really represent me and my interests? And I hope.
And what will you say to them if immigrants, among immigrant, a Liberian immigrant asks you, hey, you come to campaign to, hey, I live in Brooklyn Park, I live in District 34B,
Mhm.
right? You come, you want to convince me to vote for you. What will your message be to me? Can you represent me? Can you represent my interest?
Yeah, I go back to a story from the first time I ran for office.
Mm-hmm.
We were at an event at the Methodist Church in Brooklyn Center.
Yeah.
There were tables with people sitting around them.
Mm-hmm.
The candidates went from table to table, and we had 10-15 minutes at each table for people to ask us questions. And the night went on, and there were tables of old white folks, there were tables of young immigrant women, there were tables of
Mm-hmm.
a mixture of people, and there were a whole diverse array of people were there.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing went on, and I listened to people's questions and answered them. But when it was over, there was a table with a few African immigrant women, and they came up to me afterwards and they said, "Thank you for letting us finish our questions before you started answering them."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, is that really all it takes, is just to listen to somebody's whole concern before you start talking?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what I would say. I'll listen to your whole question.
Yeah.
I'll hear what concerns you, and I take it seriously. So
Okay. What keeps you grounded, right, through the pressure of public life? You have been on the city council for 3 years. You're running for a high-profile seat.
mhm.
What keeps you grounded? Through public service.
Part of it is that I love the opportunities that arise because of public service.
Mm.
Like, you get invited to events that are lovely, and you get to meet people who are so interesting, and you get to work with other people who care about the community they live in.
Yeah.
And so that's grounding in one way.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, just doing things with my family. I'm fortunate that my parents live so close by, so I can stop by and just have a drink with them on their patio,
Mm.
and stay connected to my family that way. And in my 6 kids and their friends, it's if each kid has a friend over, that's 12 kids in the house. There's a lot of life and stress in that, but it's also very grounding to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And kids will tell you things as they are.
Yeah.
Kids don't hide much, so
Yes, sir. There's no filter, right?
there's no filter, and so
Yeah.
that's definitely grounding. And kids these days have very different conversations
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
than I remember having as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to other kids about TV shows and about um, like what new toys they got or what video game they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
But my kids and their friends, I hear them having conversations about racism and human sexuality and um, like what's happening in Washington. What does it mean for their friends who are from other parts of the world? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
kids are exposed and having conversations in a whole new way,
Okay.
and that's really grounding to listen to my kids and their friends.
Sure. Yeah. Well, folks, this is a 1 hour show. We've been here for, like 1 hour, 10 minutes, and we'll soon be wrapping this up. So tonight we are talking to Christian Eriksen. He's running for District 34B, an open seat. It was open because of the senseless murder of Melissa Hortman. So 1 hour show, we're going to be wrapping up here pretty quick. You can still contribute or put a comment in the chat. But, Broken Park or even District 34B has a lot of public safety challenges where sometimes you hear about all these crimes. Like a friend of mine, a Caucasian friend of mine asked me one time, is okay, I know you grew up in Broken Park. I know you live in Broken, I know you got a lot of friends, families there. Why is it there's always crime on the local news about Broken Park and stuff like that? What are your vision of trying to make sure, the citizens of District 34B and especially Broken Park, feel safe, when it comes to public safety?
There's our city council has a great relationship with our police department.
Okay.
And I think our police department has a better relationship than average with the community.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's perfect. Still, people still feel certain things when they see a police uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Those things aren't always positive, but Brooklyn Park has tried some really unique things, like the alternate response team,
Okay.
where if somebody's having a mental health concern, you call 911 and they'll send out a mental health professional
Okay.
instead of a police officer.
Okay.
And that brings a very different feeling to the situation, right? If somebody's having a mental health crisis, sometimes having a police officer show up,
Mm-hmm.
that's frightening, that's scary, that's not everyone feels that way, but many people do.
Sure.
But having a social worker show up, that's very different, right?
Okay.
They're wearing a polo shirt and jeans. They show up in a minivan. Like, it's a very different feeling, and they know how to talk people through the crisis they're having. We have a new community violence prevention group where caseworkers will be out on the street meeting kids where they're at. So say they get a call that there's a big group of kids out at Central Park. They'll go out and just meet the kids and see what's going on and what needs do they have. And so hopefully that prevents the need for those kids ever needing or ever getting involved with the police to begin with.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I one time asked the police chief what keeps him up at night.
Yeah.
And his answer was very, without hesitation, so many kids have guns.
Oh.
15-year-olds, 14-year-olds have guns.
Wow.
And they're proud of it. And I think that should keep us all up at night.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
There's 14-year-olds walking around with firearms and using them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's something we can start to tackle at the state level.
Sure.
Preventing, they call them straw buyers, where somebody goes in to buy a gun for somebody else who's not allowed to have one. Or holding parents accountable for storing their firearms safely.
Sure.
Like if you have a legal firearm, keep it in a safe.
Yeah.
Keep a trigger lock on it.
Sure.
Don't let your children access it. And that's a whole community effort, right, to keep our kids safe from things like that.
Okay.
But I think trying to replicate some of what's been successful in Brooklyn Park,
Yeah.
so that other communities can build the same toolbox that we have.
Okay. Okay. Well, as we wrap this up, so it's a 1 hour show, and you have been generous with your time. Here 1 hour 14 minutes. We really appreciate it. So, to wrap up here, my last question to you: for folks that have not heard about your campaign, that have not heard about Christian Eriksen, that resident of District 34, what's the message you have for them tonight? That they should support your campaign, they should vote for you August 12th, and then up to the general election.
Hmm. Um, so Brooklyn Park has many needs.
Mm.
We also have many strengths,
Okay.
and the state government can help support both of those things.
Okay.
Whether it's providing for basic needs in a community, or whether it's helping unlock the potential of Brooklyn Park.
Okay.
Like our entrepreneurs and our children are brilliant, and the state can help unleash that.
Okay.
And I want to be a part of Minnesota unleashing the potential that exists in this community.
Okay.
Um, your kids are brilliant, and they deserve every opportunity to thrive and grow and build a future for themselves.
Okay.
And I want to be a part of helping that come true for them.
Okay. Well, Christian, thank you so much for the opportunity to join us tonight. We really appreciate chatting with you. We hope, we wish your campaign good luck. Hopefully you succeed. August 12th, and then maybe up to the general, and make this your home. Obviously you're on the city council of Broken Park. That's a huge Liberian community. We
Mm-hmm.
call it little that we are in our own little cycle here and stuff like that. So hopefully you can, maybe we can have you back on here, maybe just to talk about, everything. If you succeed, want to have you back here. If not, even if you go to the general election, we'd definitely love to have you back, for more conversation. So thank you so much for joining us. Very, very appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You have a good night.
Inner
Yep,
Circle
good night.
podcast
Folks,
where
that
hearts
concluded our show
unite.
tonight. Thanks for joining us. It's been a
Sharing our
good
truths,
conversation.
bringing
And
hope
tomorrow
to
we'll
the
be back here
light.
with our social segment, and then Monday
Community
we'll be back with
strong, we're
different
never
topic. Thank you
alone.
so much for joining us, and you all have a good
Together
night.
as one, we've created a home. So join